everybody. Your friend Ecwfan here, and this is our latest Ecwfan reviews. Yes, this is the third one I've done in recent months, and I hope you enjoyed that intro video, which gives the hint this is going to be about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, one of my favorite characters, and one of the first characters I really got into collecting back 27 years ago when I started branching out from DC. Because I started with Batman, then I went to Spider-Man, and it's been an up-down path with Spider-Man. I'm not currently pulling the book right now, but for a good many years, for a good close to, I'd say, 20 plus years, I collected the book. Well, I'm going to go ahead and run down the storyline. Now, Spider-Man basically has its peaks and valleys. I mean, one of the biggest valleys is basically this Clone Saga. Well, after the Clone Saga, sales went down on the book. Fans was really turned off. And basically, Marvel had to relaunch the character. Had to bring in somebody to do it. Well, they waited so many years. They kept trying and trying. And finally, they found the right guy. j.michael, I believe that's his name. JMS for short. Now, JMS basically had done Babylon 5 and had done some indie work. And basically his reputation had grown. So Marvel brought him in to basically give Spider-Man a shot in the arm. And he did. He created mystical enemies for Spider-Man. And he did the biggest reveal of the character yet. He had Aunt May learn Spider-Man's secret identity. Well, like every good thing, everything was rolling. The book was good. Everything was good. For 30-some issues, there was no problems. Well, JMS, like anybody else, got a little bit too cocky, and so did Marvel. Around 2004, DC had started doing Identity Crisis, which will come in a later review. So, Marvel needed something big. They needed something huge for Spider-Man. So, we would get Sins Past. Now, the basis of Sins Past is this. Peter Parker gets a letter in the mail. 5 years comic book time, folks. This is a letter 5 years late. Now, you thought the U.S. mail was bad, you know, as a service now. Spider-Man gets a letter 5 years later from Gwen Stacy. And it's about her having a sexual affair with Norman Osborn. This is set part 2, issue 510. So, to beat it all, that was bad. I mean, you get a scene with the O-face of Norman Osborn. You know, like, yeah, like, that's a nightmare you will have to live with. I mean, honestly. So, instead of shrugging his shoulders and accepting that, here's Sins Past number 511, or issue 511, part 3. Instead of accepting, hey, I'm married to a fucking supermodel. You know, Gwen Stacy was my first love. Yes, that's great. That was 5 years ago. Look who I have now. I've been married to her for 5 years. My love has changed. I've moved on. We get a scene where Peter Parker yells, "No!" It was just so bad. It was like each issue was getting worse and worse. And the biggest reveal was Mike Deodato Jr. had done the art. Well, Sarah, one of the children that Gwen has, looks like Gwen, as you can tell. She's basically Sarah. She looks just like Gwen Stacy. She's a super aged love child of Gwen Stacy. She aged in 5 years due to the Goblin formula. Well, Gabriel, the son, is drawn to look like Peter Parker. I am not shitting you. He is drawn to look like Peter Parker, but is Norman Osborn. And people was like, what? You know, because, I mean, just look at the panel. Yeah, he looks just like Peter Parker when he debuted. And the reason for this was the idea, the original storyline, they was Peter Parker's children. So, Joe Quesada, who was editor-in-chief, was like, that'll age Spider-Man too much if we make them his children. So let's make them Norman Osborn's kids. Not a bad idea, but Deodato had already gotten halfway into the series, and he wouldn't delay the issues to let him redo the art. So, basically, you had You know, here's since past part 4. You have since past part 5. Basically, Norman, you know, had taken the kids and aged them, and this was yet another damn plot by Norman Osborn. Here's part 6. To get a Peter Parker, because, you know, that's what Norman Osborn does. He spends his time like, well, what can I do to fuck with Peter Parker today? Well, I'm going to abduct my love children and keep them hidden from him for 5 years, and then I'm going to unleash them. Yeah, perfect. It was such a bad storyline. It's so badly conceived. Numerous artists and writers came forward and said how horrible and shitty it was. One of them was Alex Ross, who basically said that Gwen Stacy as a character had been ruined so badly by this storyline that he wouldn't do a project then, because he had a dream project he was going to do, and he would not do it after that. He refused. Stan Lee came out and slammed the storyline and said it was, that he wouldn't have done it. Because Stan always sides with the fans, and the fan reaction was 99.9% negative on this storyline. So it was so bad. Marvel basically put their fucking heads in the sand and was like, we're going to do some more. Months later, there was a sequel storyline called Sins Remembered in Spectacular Spider-Man. Thankfully, I did not get it. Nobody cared for it. Basically, you got Gabriel and Sarah again. So, fast forward years later, Spider-Man's getting that big One More Day revamp, and JMS asked Joe Quesada, he said, we're bringing Harry Osborn back. How about I retcon Sins Past? And Marvel was like, no. Because we want to rub it in some more. We want to make people really hate this storyline. And nobody has asked for these characters to return. I mean, there is no demand for the characters. If you go online at most message boards and say, hey, what do you think of Sins Past? 99% will write back, it is shit, it is awful, it is the worst thing that ever was conceived. Why they decide to do this storyline boggles my mind. I mean, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. And right when Sins Past hit, this is when Marvel hit the shitter. This is when our GMS's run hit the shitter. Right here is where it really started to go bad. Each thing was geared around events after this. There was no natural progression in stories, like we had gotten before. It was just each storyline was big. It was supposed to be like, oh, Spider-Man joins the Avengers, 6-part storyline. Spider-Man faces Morlun again, 6-part storyline. Road to Civil War. I've told people this. That's like, JMS had a great, brilliant run for like 30-plus issues. Then he went to the crapper quick. And it's sad. I mean, he had a run that was like, I guess you would say was probably the tops. And, as far as Spider-Man goes, he had a run that was almost sequel to what Stern had done for the character. And then it just went down. And that's the saddest thing about it. Sins Past is just so horrible. If you see these issues, please avoid them. Get them for a quarter. Laugh at Marvel some, because this is basically when the crap hit the fan with Spider-Man. This is what started the downward spiral. This is what started the countdown to One More Day, which pretty much, this started the countdown right here. So I hope you enjoyed this ECW fan review. As far as the end of the storyline, basically Peter Parker, big screen goblin again, and the children disappear to come up back later. That's the end of the storyline. It's just absolute shit. I've said that enough. But to each their own. If you enjoy it, hey, good luck. I just won't agree. That's my take on it. I hope you enjoyed this ECW fan review, and until next time, keep on watching, folks.